So I just finished watching Final Destination Bloodlines. Holy shit. We're so back. We are back as hell. Now. Let me not gas this movie up too much, okay? It wasn't perfect. I'm not gonna say that it was the best Final Destination film, but it was pretty fun. I ain't gonna lie. Like, it was pretty fun just getting back into the shits with this one. Like I said, it definitely wasn't perfect. There was some things about it that I felt like could have been better. So I'm just gonna start with those, and then I'm just gonna go into the stuff that I like and just general thoughts, because this movie was pretty mad. I'm not even gonna lie. The whole bloodline thing, I do feel like they could have kind of tapped into that just a little bit more. Like, we had the whole family, of course, that were, the main, set of characters that we follow in this one. And I do think that unless it's like the intention for more movies to kind of tap into other families, I do think that we could have kind of, just tapped in more into, just how everything kind of connects, kind of how the entire series kind of connects to one another with this one. Maybe if there were like, like I said in my Final Destination ranked video, which if you haven't seen, you should definitely go check it out. You gotta have a suspension of disbelief when it comes to these films. If you don't, you're definitely not gonna enjoy your time. You're gonna nitpick everything. Maybe in a world where it kind of connects too perfectly back to the Skyview accident, it would have been unbelievable. So I couldn't understand why they didn't do it. I think just the whole idea of like bloodlines and, all these accidents kind of connect back to a certain point. I think it would have been fun to kind of explore that just a little bit more. What we have is a film about Stephanie, who is off rip. We kind of just meet her in a state of just chaos. From the moment that we meet her, she doesn't really get a moment to just breathe. From beginning to end, the film is just like, yeah, Steph, we're just gonna put you in just a bunch of shit and you just gotta figure it out. And I did enjoy that. I kind of feel bad. Gonna have minor spoilers for this one, of course. Definitely was a time Stephanie, in terms of main characters out of all of these, there's only but so much I feel like these main characters could do. I feel like for what the task was, she was able to not really figure it out, but she was trying, which I like. Other main characters would like figure it out after people died. At least she was trying. She tried with Eric. She kind of guessed. I like that she guessed certain parts, but she just had the wrong person in mind, and then they kind of explained why that was the case. Like, she was trying. She had her notes. She had her bulletin boards and shit. Compared to somebody like Sam from the fifth one, who isn't the worst main character, but like, he didn't really take any action, proactivity in trying to figure out like, who's next. It's not until Dennis gets a fucking flying wrench to the face where he's like, oh, Dennis was next. Oh shit, man, I guess I should have known that. Like, no shit, it was Dennis. So she tried. The opening sequence for this, like the opening premonition, was bonkers. And I've been in a restaurant like that before, so I'm not gonna say like it was something that is like a huge fear of mine, but definitely when I did go in that restaurant, it definitely reminded me of something that could be in Final Destination at the time. So it's pretty crazy that that's what ended up, being like the main incident for the entire movie. They definitely went crazy with the deaths in this one. Like, the death scenes in this are pretty wild. And I feel like I've said that already for past, installments of this franchise. But this one really just takes it up to a whole different level. The circumstances and situations that certain people find themselves in, specifically the piano kid and the old man that was trying to get on the elevator, that was insanity. Even in the premonition, Iris's baby dad, whatever you want to call him, I don't even think we got his name. Yeah, he was going through it. Even the way Iris was like, her finger, like just little shits like that. That was a good opening sequence. It's hard to say. I have it here that it was the best, but I think it would just it being so fresh It was really good. I don't know if it's the best. You got 1, you got 3, 5 is pretty good. 2 is like really good stunt wise. So it's just, it's hard to say that it's the best, but it definitely is up to par. And I think that the family aspect of it definitely made it interesting a lot more than it just being random strangers. Not to say that if it was random strangers, it would be bad, but the family aspect definitely made it more watchable and just, it's just that different element of it that allowed you to keep watching, at least for me. I do think that the storyline kind of made up for the tone of this one. I'm more of a fan of the more serious, not even sullen, but just more like morbidly aware installments of the Final Destination franchise. So I do think this one was more comedic than I'd like it to be. It didn't really take me away from the film too much, compared to one like the fourth one, but it did kind of, it did feel more in that realm of the franchise than say the first, second, or third one. It didn't feel as, omnipresent, honestly. It kind of just felt like it was just a lot of jokes and a lot of, some of them were funny, I'm not gonna lie, but it didn't really have that serious, like kind of cold tone that I would like from these movies. Maybe we're just not gonna get that back. Obviously in serious movies you gotta have your moments of levity, but I do kind of hope if they are going to make another one, which I don't know, they haven't really said that they are. This movie is making some bread though, so they might. I hope that it gets just a little bit more serious. It was kind of, more in vein of the fourth one. But I did still enjoy myself. So, I guess that makes up for it. And there's a lot of vertigo shots in this shit, which, after like the second one, I'm like, all right, this trying to make me throw up. But I thought that was cool. I said that Steph actually has motivation to go on this journey. Yeah, just from like frame 1, she's screaming. Like, you don't even know her name and she's literally like screaming. But I like that she was having a premonition, and that's kind of what kicks this shit into gear. Just switching it up, I thought that was cool. Iris was kind of reminding me of Alex when he was up in his cabin. She was giving me heavy Alex vibes, which was cool. Shout out Alex, even though they fucking killed him off screen. Her death was crazy. I said spoilers. Yeah, the way she went out was, so the thing with this movie is like you could kind of predict that certain characters are going to die at certain moments. I think it's just how they die that is a hit or miss, because they set it up so much to where it's like, okay, yeah, no, they're definitely gonna die. And I guess that's really what the movie is that's what the franchise is, and it's just trying to guess how they get up out of there. I do feel like I like the first half of this movie a little bit better than the second half. Like I had said with the fifth movie as well, this movie kind of just it flies by. A lot of it is just, character dies, then we reconvene, then another character dies, then we reconvene, then another character dies, then we reconvene. So, I mean, that aspect of it was a bit, like I said, predictable, but it's Final Destination, so I'm not really looking for much when it comes to this. The main thing that you go to these movies for is just to see how these characters wipe the dust. And I will say that they had tremendous imagination when it came to that, because by God, these are some of the craziest death scenes I think in the franchise for sure. There's definitely some sick people storyboarding this movie. Wow, I'm still trying to wrap my head around a good amount of them. A lot of these deaths are like in the franchise are pretty iconic, so I think these definitely hold up. They'd be in the new movie and whatnot. I think they're gonna find their place. They're gonna find their footing eventually. Yeah, I literally have 2 separate notes that say, nah, this movie definitely upped it with the death scenes, and then right under that it says, bro, these scenes are crazy. So yeah, that kind of gives you a kind of good tone of how these death scenes are. Pretty nuts. I'll say spoilers for this one, but I'll say my favorite. I mean, Julie's shit really threw me off. Yeah, no, I think that one was probably probably the craziest. I mean, the lawnmower, the MRI, like they're just in situations where it's like, all right, yeah, they're definitely gonna die, but it's just the actual circumstances of it is like, wow, like it really happened like that, which, you know, I thought was pretty wild. But then once it came down to the final three, I do think that it did get a little bit predictable, a little bit more predictable than I'd like. You know, you kind of, you know, this character is in a situation and they say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna live, and then they fucking die like before they even finish the sentence. Then another character, you think they die, and then they come back and you realize that they didn't really die, so they, you know, die at the end of the movie. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's kind of been done already. So if you've watched these movies, I think you could kind of, you know, have a good sense of where it's gonna go. But you know, it's definitely not bad, I would say. I don't think it's as bad as the fourth one. The fourth one, there's just something about the fourth one that just, I think we can all definitely agree that one is the least, you know, effective one. I don't know where I'd rank this one. That's really, you know, that's really something. Let me get through the rest of my notes before I try to rank this. Definitely R.I.P. Tony Todd. You know, I'm glad that we got to learn more finally about his character, and he's not just some random guy. Definitely a lot of retconning, which some people may hate. I kind of liked him being just more of an ethereal character, but you know, obviously being that he's not with us anymore, and probably given the fact that like he knew that he was sick while they were filming this, I'm glad that they gave his character a little bit more story, and just more to learn about, more background, and just the parallels between his character and what he was saying, and like, you know, just the fact that he's not with us anymore. That really did touch me. You know, R.I.P. Tony Todd. Tough, very tough. But I'm glad that they gave him, you know, a little bit more character to work with for this being his last movie, which is, you know, pretty wild. So yeah, on top of that, Eric is definitely one of the most batshit insane characters in this entire franchise. You kind of root for him, you kind of hate him, and the way his shit turns out is just wow. Especially given that he wasn't really supposed to die for real. So just the way that he goes out is just like pretty insane, and then he ends up fucking taking his brother with him. You know, just wild shit. At the end of it, my last two notes, it says this movie is kind of unserious. And then I said, wow, what an ending. Because definitely I was not expecting that entire, you know, train piece to happen. But very Final Destination to end it off the way that it did. I wish that I wish that Steph could have kind of been a little bit more, you know, active in how she was, you know, going about this. But for the most part, it's you know, it's like I said, it's Final Destination. It's if you know what this franchise consists of, I'll say in terms of it being a part of the franchise, it works. The scenes are wild. The story for the most part makes sense for the most part. It's I don't think it touches the originals, honestly. I wish it was a little bit more serious in tone, because it did remind me more of the fourth one compared to other ones. It was a little bit more jokey. You know, like I said, unserious. But the death scenes are really insane. Honestly, I'll probably put it right above the fourth one. And it's not to say that I didn't have a good time with it. I just think that the other four hold up a lot better. That's not to say that this isn't a good time. So I'll say check it out. I'll say it was a cool watch. Let me know what you think. I know this was a bit of a long-winded one. I'm still processing how I feel about this. I will say that I did not watch this with the crowd, so maybe that will help the viewing. So I might go check it out with the crowd to see. You know, I think that this is definitely a cool watch. I say go check it out if you're a fan of the franchise. If you don't like this franchise, you're probably not gonna like this movie. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you love this movie. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you thought it was all right. Let me know if you disliked it. Let me know if you hated it. And yeah, tune into the next one. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. It really means a lot. This channel is, really going above and beyond my expectations. And whoever's watching this, I'm glad I'm just a part of your lives, and I'm glad that I'm able to talk about things that I love and don't love so much, and that you're here to just listen to me ramble about these movies and these trailers and new things that are coming out. I'm talking too much. So thank you so much. Videos will keep coming. Final Destination Bloodlines, cool watch. Tune in to the next video, and I'll see you soon. Peace.